Hello students and welcome to another video of IELTS with Coach Brad. I am of course Coach Brad, and today we are going to be looking at a question type for writing task 1. The question type requires you to describe a process. If you are new to my videos, please feel free to like, share and subscribe. Now, when describing a process, sometimes my students find it very difficult the first time they try, but after they practice a little bit, they really improve. It is a lot different to some of the other question types, like describing a chart or describing a map. But with the tips that I have included in this video, I'm sure you will become a lot more confident. Let's begin. So as always with writing task 1, you need to write at least 150 words. You should not spend longer than 20 minutes doing it, and 3 paragraphs is usually enough. I have included a quick example on the bottom right hand corner of what a process might look like, but sometimes it is as little as 2 stages. And I have also seen examples in the IELTS test with 15 stages. If you have less steps in the process, you need to write much more for each step. If you have many steps, you really need to combine all the different stages into one sentence. Other examples of process types I have seen have been natural processes. For example, the life cycle of an insect. I have seen construction processes, processes in a factory, and also recipes for how to cook something. So my tips are, you really need to build your vocabulary for sequencing words. That will show the reader, which is the examiner, the order of the stages and make it a lot easier for them to understand the flow of the process. Another thing that is very important, being skilled at writing in passive voice. This can be very difficult for students in that band 5 or 6 range. Those that are going to get a higher score than that can try learning to use passive voice for the more difficult tenses, such as present continuous or present perfect. That will really increase your score, especially if you can use passive voice to connect different stages in the process. Let's have a look at the introduction and what you need to include. Firstly, of course you need to say, what does the diagram show? In this case, the diagram shows how to make chocolate at home. You want to change the vocabulary a little bit so you don't always copy the question's heading. How many stages are in the process? There are 2 stages in the process. There are 10 stages in the process. And you might also need to say what the process starts with and finishes with. In this example, the process starts with just 5 simple ingredients and finishes with a block of chocolate that looks very similar to the type that you buy at the supermarket. Sequencing words. For the first and the last stage, it's very easy. You only need one sequencing word because there is only one first stage and one last stage. It's the stages in the middle that you need to show some variety. Some of the simple sequencing words, then, next, after that. But if you want to get a higher score, you want to use some more challenging vocabulary than that. For example, the next step involves stirring the chocolate while it is melting. Once the chocolate has melted, you can pour it into a mold. While the chocolate is melting, stir it with a spoon. I have jumped the order a little bit, but that just shows you You have many options to use different tenses also whilst using the sequencing words. Now, this is where it gets very challenging. For beginner students, they will want to stay mostly in present simple. You will not get a higher score of 7, 8, or 9 if you do this, but it is very safe and can stop you making some terrible mistakes. If you are comfortable, use present simple in passive. For example, ingredients are put into the saucepan. Okay. Present perfect, this requires a little bit more skill, but I think you can do it. Once the ingredients have been added to the saucepan, stir them with a spoon. Present continuous passive, this is what we do when two things are happening at the same time. For example, while the chocolate is being refrigerated, you can wash the dishes. Okay, now washing the dishes is not part of my process, so do not include that. I have just used it as an example. Another example. Imagine you are making a pizza. While the pizza is being cooked, you can sit back and relax. And also, future passive. Place the mix in the refrigerator where it will need to be cooled for 2 hours. Challenging, but they are probably the secret to a high score. So that concludes this video. Please feel free to have a look at the sample I have provided, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comments box below the video. Just remember to practice, 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 and I'll see you next time.